All right, so many of you have reached out to me and said, like, hey, can you please react to the Erika Kirk speech? And I watched it last night. I wanted to let myself sleep on it before I reacted to it. Because I'm sure, like everybody, right, I had some mixed emotions watching that. My first emotion was, it's watching someone in incredible pain. And I know a lot of people online were like saying like, oh, she was going back and forth between crying and whispering and talking to her and all the thing, whatever. Okay, look, I used to be a military wife. I've stood shoulder to shoulder with people who've buried their husbands and now have to raise children alone. We've all been there, right? Like, that is what grief looks like. It comes in waves, and it doesn't always look like tears. I did not read what she was doing as insincere or orchestrated, maybe a little orchestrated in some ways that I'll touch on. But that to me was a woman processing real grief. Okay, that's my measure. All right, but past that, many of the things she said, I have a lot of trouble with, and I know full well that I'm going to take shit for some of the things that I'm going to say in this video. But like I've said in many other videos, there's no point in having a platform, right? Or having social media if you can't say your truth. This is my truth. This is my impression of what I saw. All right. I heard her say things like evildoers, and you have no idea what you've unleashed, and you will never stop us. And, you know, it'll be like a battle cry. What I heard was a woman who basically had the attention of the country. And when she gave this speech last night, it was already apparent who the shooter was. All right. This person whose name I won't even dignify because we already know it. And I'm just, you know, I think sometimes these people do this crap just so that they can take credit and become, you know, immortalized in some way. So I'm not even going to give credit to this person, all right, by saying his name. You all know who it was. He was raised in a Christian, very likely MAGA family, all right? So it was a radicalized right situation, all right? It wasn't the left. So I want to be really careful that while we're respecting this family's right to grieve, and the people, look, guys, you didn't have to like Charlie Kirk, all right? That's your position. But you can't also strip the humanity away from the people who did like Charlie Kirk and kind of look at them and be like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Like, he was terrible. That's your opinion, right? So just like you want your opinions respected, you have to respect their right to grieve this individual, because for them, even if you do not agree, this is a loss, right? So they need to be able to have that space to process that. And in so doing, my problem with what she said was that there was sort of this inference, right? And before I go into that, let me touch on this. My problem with what she said is because the right is so like in this echo chamber, right? Where they're really getting their news from Fox News and this very sort of top-down directive where they're not really questioning what's being said. So of course they're going to take this thing that she said, right? And they're going to put it out there, and people who maybe aren't paying attention or aren't listening to anything but Fox News, and of course you have Jesse Waters, that chucklehead, basically calling for civil war. They're going to read that what she said was those evildoers, right? You have no idea what you unleashed, battle cry, words like that coming from a woman in her position at this moment. That's inflammatory, okay? This is a fucking tinderbox, all right? I would have hoped that knowing what she knew at the time that she gave this speech, which was that this person was from the right, that she would have said, guys, let's take a beat. Let's step back from the brink of the abyss, okay? This is where we need to lay down our swords, stop pointing fingers, maybe even just for fun, an apology from I guess I really wouldn't expect her to give an apology, but it would have been nice for her to say something like, you know, we jump to conclusions, and that doesn't seem to be the situation here, okay? But that's not what I heard. I heard a woman who, for my measure, okay, and again, I don't fancy Erika Kirk or Charlie Kirk, so I'm not going to hear it the same way their followers do, because what I heard was a woman who's grieving and is going to turn that into martyrdom and vengeance, all right? She kept saying things like, you know, Charlie's a martyr and he laid down his life for Jesus. No, he did not, and no, he is not. And you're free to disagree with me, respectfully, okay? Respectfully, Charlie's not a martyr. All right. A martyr is someone who's killed for the way that it's typically used, for their religious beliefs. And I think that's kind of how she gave this speech, right? Was that he was killed for advocating for families and husbands and wives and Christianity. But That's not true. I mean, that is just simply untrue. He did not lay down his life for Jesus, okay? He was not killed for being a Christian. He was killed for being Charlie Kirk by somebody on the right. Now, for whatever reasons, I won't speculate, and honest to God, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't have happened, no matter what the reason was. To me, and I know a lot of y'all, again, some of y'all be in the comments talking about, political violence is the answer. Well, that's your opinion, okay? This is my channel, and my opinion is I do not agree with political violence. That said, you come for me and mine, I'll defend myself. So, I mean, don't read that as weakness. I'm just saying, I think that's not even a measure of last resort. I just think that option should be taken off the table. Okay, all of that said, I felt like she had a moment to ask people to step back from the precipice. And really, here's what I really wanted her to say, which of course they're not going to do that. The right never does this. I mean, the left isn't even particularly good at it. But to say, guys, this isn't a moment to attack the left. This is a moment to look inside our own house, right? Because the calls coming from inside the house. I hesitated to say that because it sounds like I'm being insensitive. I'm not. What I'm saying is that these radicalized extremist killings, okay, that have been happening on an expedited timeline, especially for the last 5 years, it's always from the right, okay? And I don't need to sit here and articulate and itemize for you guys what those events are, because you guys are living on planet Earth. You know what I'm talking about. So I think the question here isn't, should we attack the left? The question is, what is it about the right that keeps radicalizing people, right? And so she says she wants to live on for Charlie and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I don't know everything about Charlie Kirk, but here's a couple things I do know about him, all right? He hated woke empathy. He was not here for the empathy. All right, so empathy is being, to me, empathy would be reacting emotionally to a situation. So I don't know, because I'm not Charlie Kirk, all right? I feel like he said he was okay with a certain number of gun deaths, right? So if he was true to his word, if you believe that about him, again, I don't know, then that means that he would have found what happened to him acceptable for the preservation of Second Amendment rights. I don't know if I agree with that, but if you took Charlie at his word, then he would have been okay with that, right? And if you believed his narrative about the fact that empathy was a woke concept and then empathy shouldn't lead you to violence, and certainly not towards violence towards the left. You should have what he called, I believe, cold sympathy. You understand what happened. It's unfortunate. It shouldn't have happened. And that we should try to learn something meaningful from this. And that shouldn't be that there is further division in this country. All right. Again, no disrespect to Erika Kirk. I cannot imagine what that woman is going through. All right. I can't. Whether you like Charlie Kirk or not, I'm a mom. I was a wife. I had young children once. I get it. It's a terrible position to be in. But this is a moment for the right to step back and ask, what is going on in your own house that keeps producing this result? Because, and let me not put too fine a point on it, okay? You could wipe every leftist, liberal, Dem, whatever, they call us this week, okay, off the map, and it wouldn't change a thing, all right? Because it's that belief structure, something about that belief structure that is radicalizing people. And what I would love for Charlie's death to mean is that we take it down a notch and we realize that, God damn, we are really so divided. I mean, I hate to see anybody die in vain, especially the children in school shootings. But if you guys need to do something to honor Charlie, then what you should do is earn back the respect for the Republican Party and the conservative brand by cleaning your own house and figuring out what is happening that is causing this violence. That's just my take, guys. You guys let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next one.